So do you guys remember the time at States where there was like the lights went out and matches were playing and it was like spooky? You guys remember that?
Oh yeah.
I think Gail just forgot to pay the power bill. Oh my God, it's happening
Whoa.
again.
Whoa.
What?
No. Ian, did you pay your power bill?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
You're supposed to pay those?
So spooky. Ah!
You know, our viewers don't actually like it when you scream.
That's true. I've gotten multiple pieces of
Yeah.
feedback. They click off after the first bit because they
100%.
think it's too extra.
Yeah.
Too extra?
Yeah.
What's up, Pit Crew? Welcome back to Pit Podcast. Host Nathan, Ian, Chunky Jason, host Chris.
It's me, guys. Thank you
Episode
all
number
for
whatever,
joining.
29, I think. We're back. Another guest. He is the co-chair of Troy Robotics Foundation.
Something like that.
Co-chair of Rainbow Rumble.
VC for the Troy events.
EC, longtime volunteer, the Godfather, Eddie Backley. Thank you, Eddie, for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Are you nervous?
Not particularly.
I didn't think so. You look stone cold.
I have seen way scarier things than you three, so.
Awesome. Love to hear it.
Well, without further ado, how'd you find us?
How'd I find you?
How did you find me? Specifically me.
You? I think
In a
you
dumpster.
were field resetting at an event I was field souping. I tried to convince you to be a field soup at that point. I seem to have failed at that catastrophically.
See, to be fair, I was interested, but then I did get a reffing job, and then that kind of hooked into it.
You were looking for something with a uniform, or
See, I wanted to feel special, all right? I wanted to be the big dog.
I
Well, you
didn't
are
make
special.
you feel special.
Nothing
enough,
says special like uniform.
Well, he gets to go, wave the flag.
Dude!
No one's ever heard Chris do
I
a
say,
pin
at
count.
least you can hear him when he's counting. Like, it's the good stuff.
I give the courtesy of the teams that I want you to hear me. Just me.
I can't hear anything afterwards, but
Okay, well, we're not talking about Chris. We're talking about you,
This is
Eddie.
you.
Yeah,
So,
so-
how did you get started? How did this become a thing for you?
how did I get started? So I'm going to show my age. My first year in FLL was 25 years ago this year. So for reference to anyone that wants it in FRC terms, that's lunacy was my senior year.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's best
09.
game ever.
So you were a student then?
I was a student. Yeah, my last year as a student was in 2009. And then pretty much immediately after that, for years and years, we've run the Shark Fest FLL tournament in Troy. And our mentors were like, hey, we need judges. Can you make it back that weekend? And that's sort of the start of volunteering that's been continuous since then and is noted a Swiss Army knife number of roles. And has sort of evolved at this point to from an FRC perspective, mostly EC and field soup, though I can fill in doing other things if needed. And primarily, I will be a judge advisor at the FLL level.
Gotcha.
So you wear a lot of hats then. You have a lot of roles that you can fill in whenever it needs to be filled, right? So what's a role that you don't typically do, but you've filled in the past before? Like if you've been a field soup, you've been a judge advisor, VC, EC, but what's a role that you don't typically?
I had 1 year I was a safety manager briefly. I think that was just an oddity of like we already had a field soup at an event and okay, we need a safety manager. All right, sure, fine, why not? I think I've queued before. A lot of it is like in some cases, especially as an EC, sometimes it's like, hey, I just got to get somebody out for like dinner or lunch, and it's like, all right, well, I can fill a chair for a minute. I can do that. So sometimes I'll end up in roles for just like an hour while it's lunchtime or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Little rotationals.
My goodness. Okay.
Yeah. So in that vein, I guess, kind of, you mentioned EC. At least when I think of you, that's typical. I know you feel it too, but my mind always goes to EC Eddie. So I'm curious, how long have you been doing that? I know the Troy events, I think kind of your home bread and butter there, but
Yeah. Actually, I got asked to EC for the first time 20 19. It was Centerline, and Lisa was looking for somebody to sort of take over that event, and that was what it looked like at that point. And so I ended up there. That was the year, if anybody remembers, we ended up evacuating the pits in Centerline because people had sort of like a
carbon fiber, I think. They cut into it.
I really don't. We never figured out what it was, but there's a whole bunch of people in sort of a corner of the pits that were having like respiratory issues. So like we're coughing and whatnot. Evacuated the pits. I think we filled out like 40 or 50 medical incident reports, ambulance, fire, whatnot, but it turned out to be nothing. We moved 6 pits into a classroom and off we went.
Oh my God.
The event must go on.
I was one of those teams. I've absolutely hated just being shoved in that little storage corner of the event.
You used to be the practice field. We moved the practice field to open up a room to put pits in so that we could do that. And it was after that introduction, I'm actually amazed that I kept doing it. It's like, but it also said like, okay, I can do that. You can put me under fire and I can do it. So
that's true. Yeah, I can't imagine. As someone who's EC'd before, that would be quite the rough introduction to it.
Yeah. And then Troy, which is the event that I'm most long-term affiliated with, that started in 2022, first season after COVID. Our previous EC, who had graduated with me, had kids, was retiring from the role, said, "Hey, will you pick it up?" And I said, "Okay." And then I've sort of bounced around, EC'd Cast Tech. That was sort of the successor to Centerline at that time, and have helped out with ECs for both Wayne and Cass.
Great events.
And then States for a number of years. I did the States event as well, post-COVID.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and all those events, at least the events that we go to, they've always been smooth. They've always been, very fun to attend. Especially when you're around the field and you're like, oh, that's Eddie. He doing this.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Yeah. So, what goes into being like an EC then? Like, the most like important thing to consider when you're ECing an event.
Yeah. So I'll sort of separate it into 2 parts. There's sort of like before the event, and then there's during the event. Mm-hmm. Before the event is really just being prepared, having your business together. You have to, typically you're looking at a generator, an AV, food for all the volunteers, potentially like a scissor lift or all the things that you need to rent, all the things you need to order, all the things that you need to make show up in a timely fashion to put the event together. That also involves communication with teams. Typically I run events that are later in the season. I have run week 1 events, but a lot of communications with teams, trying to figure out who's going to need something before they get there. We, especially here in FIM, we get every robot on the field for every match as much as humanly possible. And so trying to figure out if somebody's going to struggle, if this is their first event, trying to make contact with folks and get them the information they need. That both like goes a long way for the team experience, but also the volunteers experience and just the continuity of the event. So that's sort of leading into the event. It's a lot of sort of preparation, organization, ordering, phone calls. If you don't like being on the phone, it may not be the role for you because at a certain point, like there's some of it that's done over email, but a lot of it, you just pick up the phone and you call somebody. Once you sort of get to the day of the event, FRC is nice in a lot of ways. You get a lot of volunteers who have done FRC before. They know their role. They know where they need to be. They're there for setup. They know what has to happen. And I don't have to necessarily be super involved in that. So I'm looking for who needs help. Where are we falling behind? Or like there's different points. Load in. I'm usually out in the parking lot during load in. It is not it's not something that uniquely I can do, but I know that if that goes wrong, then the whole event starts to get in a funny place. And then after everybody's settled, sort of like after opening ceremonies on the first day, it's about making sure everyone's having fun. The biggest detriment to fun, if you're before the event, is not being able to make your first match. After that, I wander around. I put a lot of miles on. I haven't worn a Fitbit in a number of years. But the last time I did, like, it's probably almost 10 years ago, I put a lot of miles on. And it's visiting with teams, seeing if they need anything. And really that can make or break somebody's experience. And sometimes it's odd things. It's like, got a team where the coach brought cooler sandwiches for the kids. And he's like, man, I'm like, do you need anything? Rookie team. I could really use a place to keep the sandwiches cold. Yeah, I can find you a fridge. It has nothing to do with robots, and it's really a lot more around like making the human connection with the team, with the volunteers, and making sure everybody is having fun to the best of their ability.
I think that really says a lot about you as how good of an EC you are by not just going up to the volunteers and making sure we're having a good time, but going up to the teams and making sure they have everything they need.
Yeah.
And they're having fun and having a good time, especially in the position, it says event coordinator on the back of your shirt, right? That's a very big deal. So the fact that you're doing that, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that's come is I've done this for more years. Like the first year, I'm just trying to survive.
Right.
And I'm trying to make sure that everything gets out the door. We don't leave anything behind, and the event is like moderately on time. Yeah. I was scheduled to EC two events. I believe two events. Yeah, Troy and Cass Tech when COVID hit. And I'm almost glad to a certain extent that COVID hit because I felt so unprepared.
Oh, really?
We were like, so season got canceled after week 2. I had a week 4 event. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And so, yeah, those first couple of years, it's like, how do I just survive? But after that, you get this opportunity to really make a lot of people's day by helping them get the little things in place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%.
Right.
So I'll add on that too. I think that's huge. And just to your point as well, as the other sitting EC in this group of chairs here, far and away, I think the lead into the event and the setup of the event was the most stressful part. But once, like you said, opening ceremonies hit, it's just you can take the deep breath and you can spend time with the teams and the volunteers, make sure everyone's happy, and just be the little cheerleader who's having a lot of fun and everyone's, having a great time. And that's the most rewarding part of it, I think, for me. I gotta agree there. And so in that same vein, I know you kind of helped me out a little bit with this as I kind of started out ECing a couple years ago. Do you have any tips for people who are new to the role? I know every year we got a bunch of new people to it.
And second question, do you have any encouraging words for people who don't think that they can be an EC or a VC? Because I don't think there's a lot of them out there. Or people who think they can do it.
My biggest thing, if you're thinking about doing it, is find somebody at least the season before that you're thinking about it. Approach me even. Like Troy's an event that we've been running a long time. There's a good chance that I can take a shadow or we can figure out some way to get involved in it. I think one of the hardest things that can possibly happen to an EC is you end up with like a week 1 event and you've not, like all you've done is FTC or FLL. Like it's a good introduction, but FRC is a totally different beast because also like FTC or FLL, you might be able to set it up entirely with your own 2 hands and your team if you're a coach or something. Yeah. FRC is a completely different beast. Mm-hmm. And so in some ways, like I'll first tell you, you can do it. If you're thinking about doing it, you can probably do it, but it is best to see it from that position. Watch over somebody's shoulder, either early, like, and if you've got a later week event, like you can do it the same season. Just drop in. I know, Ian, you stopped in at Troy and we spent an event together. It was only a week or so in advance, but it was something.
Yeah. And still helped substantially to be able to see, because I had never even really helped with setup before that. So to see from, very beginning of, okay, now art crafts here. Now here's our AV crew. Here's, all these different moving parts and how we're navigating them to kind of make it all a lot more seamless when I was there all alone.
And there's like wildly simple things you can do, like just dropping a painter's tape mark at where you want the center of your field in your gym and where you want the first corner of your pits to start.
Yeah.
If you've got that in a set of maps, you can usually set volunteers loose on it and they'll figure it out. If you have to try and find the sanity amongst 5 different vendors dropping things off to walk over and drop that painter's tape mark, you're so done. And so the map with decent dimensions, even if it's just like the one starting point, makes such a difference.
Yeah. That's all they need. They just need to find a place to get started. Right? Yeah. Like that's the hardest part. Just start.
A foundation, and then after that,
you go off.
Yeah. So, as an EC, like so you said before that obviously you've done districts, but also states as well. Mm-hmm. So like what is that like, right? States versus district. What's the difference when you like set up for like a district event versus like the beast of SVSU? Like how does that, compare?
The bones of it are really similar. I think one of the things that's uniquely different is that you have all of the leads for all of the key volunteer roles that are there, and they take care of a lot of their own stuff. The queuers have a plan. Cindy's got a plan for how that's going to go down. Pit admin has a plan. They're going to do that. And there's a lot of that I get to stay out of the way of because it's just going to happen. SVSU presents a little bit of unique challenge because it's fairly far away from a lot of the different teams. We do lean on a lot of the teams in sort of like the Bay Area there to pull them in and help. But it does lean a lot on the volunteers from a setup perspective. I think that's unique. It is just like a lot of teams too. There's no ability for an EC to go wander and visit all those teams. You're relying on a lot of the other veteran volunteers that are around to bring in if there are challenges and things of that sort. So it's more active in some senses and less active in terms of like deeply personal connection in others. I think that was something that it took me a little while to realize. And then at least while I was EC, there were 3 of us. Like it took a significant group effort where we would split things up and handle them, and really to know who's going to take care of things if stuff starts to get wild or if there's multiple things going on at once, how to divide up our efforts and know where we are. Uniquely challenging as well, the lack of cell phone service at SVSU. We overwhelm the tower there, basically, is what ends up happening. And so the radio becomes your friend. If it gets really loud, it's hand on the ear, trying to listen to the voices in my head and have them let me know what's up. So
I've seen some of you guys walking around with like 2 radios, 2 headsets on. Yeah. 2 and everything.
I haven't done that before, but it definitely that's a thing. A lot of the SVSU folks, they have their own radio systems. So they're wearing one of ours and one of theirs.
Yeah.
And
so in that, fun vein, no reception at States Hall on the radio kind of, I imagine there's a lot of putting out fires when they come up.
You want to talk about the fire drill? Should we talk about it?
Why don't we talk about, I forget, what year was that?
It was after COVID.
I think it was 22.
22 maybe.
I think it was the first year back. Yeah.
That would make sense. 22 was the fire drill. 23 was the lights. So the fire drill, that was sort of a wild adventure. Because none of us necessarily heard the fire alarm going off. It's so loud in there. But a couple of volunteers were up at dinner and they realized there was the flashing. They looked up and saw the strobe.
Yeah.
Didn't actually hear it, but saw the strobe. That starts a call over the radio. So you've got volunteers saying, fire alarm's going off, stop the matches, everybody out. Yeah. In the same breath, you've got other radio chatter that says it's a false alarm, but you can't tell where that's coming from. And so one of the unique challenges there is, at that point, Lisa Savage is lead EC. Lisa's leaving for the FIM board meeting. And so we're at that very point that it's happening, handing off who is in charge in case of an emergency. That creates a whole bunch of confusion. Yeah. This is also my first year up there as an EC. And so we ended up running into each other in the stairwell. And I'm sort of like, real or not? And she goes, I don't know. And she's on the phone with SVSU and they're not quite sure. And I said, all right, real enough. Everyone out. So I made my way to the middle of the arena. Our DJ there who hadn't met me yet. That was a realization. There's a mistake. The person who's got the mic that can communicate to everyone doesn't know who I am. And I'm going, trust me, I'm one of the 3 people in charge here. It's fine, dude. And so that creates its own challenge. And really is one of the worst performances of sort of my EC career, because it was in, out. And then by the time that we had decided it was out no matter what, the fire marshal had gotten there, confirmed it was a false alarm, and it was all back in. What that in the end was there was somebody who went out to tractor technician's machine shop out the back door. The minute they hit the door handle, the alarm went off. And so that's where somebody's going, oh, no, it's a false alarm. Turns out it was a student on the far other side of the campus, or of the athletic building, not associated with robots at all. An SVSU student who ended up pulling the alarm. It was an international student who was trying to get out a door, didn't realize that it was a fire alarm, pulled the fire alarm, lights.
We know what you did, kid. We know what you did.
and so, like, totally on robots related, I think my big learning from that is every single event I go to, I talk about what it's going to be. Opening ceremonies, even if I'm not the EC, I'm trying to get it in there. Lights or sounds, we're leaving. It's not a question. We're not pausing everyone out. Yeah. And you guys were at Wayne State?
Yeah, Wayne State. Yeah,
yep.
Last year.
There was the whole the lights and the alarms were going off, and you and Kathy, everyone was going, everybody out, everyone leave, get out, and we left like during the middle of a match, whole gymnasium, hold the pits, all in the parking lot of WSU. And ended up being, I believe, like a false alarm, I believe, right?
Yep.
False alarm. But even then, that whole process was smooth. That whole thing was everyone's out, everyone's safe, everyone accounted for.
Yeah. And the difference was that, at least from my opinion, we talked about it. We set expectations for students, mentors, parents, know where you're going to end up. Like, lights or sounds, go and do it. The biggest one that I noticed was like, because I think it was right after a match ended, actually, there were teams that were like, oh, I'm taking my robot off, or I've got my robot on, should I turn it off? I'm like, just leave the robot, get out the door.
Yeah.
And because of that, then I was able to do the next right thing, which was look for anybody who needed help moving. There was somebody in a wheelchair, somebody on crutches, somebody who needed help standing up, and make sure all of those folks got out. And I think we were out in like 3 minutes. It was awesome.
It was awesome. Yeah. I remember we were all trying to watch the live stream in the parking lot, and we're looking at the Twitch chat, and somebody's like, "What happened to all the robots? Where's everybody gone?"
Yeah.
Somebody else replies, "Oh, Chris Fong farted. Had to evacuate."
Gassed out the gym.
And then we're on Slack talking to AV support for FIM, and we're like, "Hey, can somebody kill the stream for us?"
Good old Jason.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, that was a good time. That was one of my favorite events.
But that really like defines you as a character too. That when unironically when shit hits the fan, right? You are the first person that basically leads everyone to safety. Everyone you get to their place and make sure that everyone is ultimately safe. And that really like shows just like the strength that you have as an EC for an event, and it's just.
And I guess like I'll speak to that one in a sense. I wasn't the EC at that event. I was the field suit. But that experience from those roles works well with each other. Yeah. We had talked to the EC. The EC sort of was on the same page as the FTA, as Kelsey and I. Kelsey has a whole script that we go through at any event where we talk about these things.
Yeah.
And that way, like. Yeah, I've got an expectation that it happens, but that expectation is not just mine. That's the whole volunteer crew. The whole key volunteer group is on the same page with what will happen if it hits the fan.
Is that like done in person day of? Is that like phone calls, emails, or?
Kelsey usually sends out that document beforehand, but realistically, we get together about 9:45 in the morning. It's just before drivers' meeting. We're all typically there. Day one, it's a quiet time, and so we talk about it. It'd be a little unfortunate if something happened like on Thursday night or something where we hadn't yet talked about it.
Yeah.
Those days are so much sparser. I wouldn't look forward to that. If something did happen, I'd probably make further alterations. It would be a thing that like I printed out and had pit admin hand to every coach or something is part of that. And maybe that's not a bad idea, but part of it is you experience these things and then you decide what changes you're going to make.
Right. Because nothing is better than like the experience. If you go through that, okay, this happened. What can we do better?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's an aspect of like, there's a lot of experiences built up in FIM. Some of them aren't as true anymore. So sometimes you got to decide when to deprecate a tradition, roll that one off and go, we've done that for years, but maybe it doesn't actually make sense anymore. Maybe there's a better option.
What's one of those then? What's one of those that used to be a thing but then just kind of fizzled out?
That's a good question. R.I.P. did that at Srini's wedding. We were
Oh, yeah?
we were at the dances to the robot people that were there.
Srini got good taste.
Yeah. Like, he didn't even know it was happening. We got handed a dance that was an Indian dance that none of us could memorize the steps to, but we're like, give me any line dance and I got you.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Just this last year, we made a bit of a change in how trailers make their way to events. With some of the changes in personnel and things, we decided that a couple of trailers were going to live on the west side and we were going to ship resupply stuff. A little chaotic, but turned out pretty okay. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's a change that we need to make for the future. I think about using FRC Nexus for check-in. That's made it way easier. I used to wander team to team to team to team, making sure they were there. It meant that I, as the EC, had to do it. Now it's a thing that I got the robot inspectors and pit admin and everyone else is able to help with. And like, that was such a tradition that when it changed originally, I'm like, who changed this? Like, who moved my cheese? And the answer was, when we moved it, because there was something better. And I just had to take a second, breathe, and adapt with that. So, I don't have a lot of great examples, but I'm sure they'll continue to emerge as the years go on.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Well, speaking, I'm sorry to cut you off, but this is very important to me.
Okay.
Very important.
Very important.
The food, right? Things that you know that can be changed, and just like, I know from your end. Let me go into the logistics side of things, right?
All right.
So like,
Food delivery.
What goes into like deciding the food for an event? What's your budget like? And how do you keep people fed?
Yeah. So, I guess budget's the easiest question. So we have a budget for the whole event. Typically about 10 grand of that budget just disappears into like things that you need: generator, scissor lift, AV, delivery of the pipe and drape, all sorts of those things. So there's sort of that off the top. And that leaves, depending on what your other expenses, sort of between like $5,000 and $6,500 to spend on food. My biggest learning, and I don't know how this continues to happen. Maybe it's because I don't have enough people like Fong that can eat and eat and eat. But I always have too much food. And so like I've started to keep far better count of what I've got. One of the things that I really look at, and especially running an event in Troy, is like I have a lot of folks who are vegetarian. And so making sure that I have something that works for a wide variety of dietary needs. In a lot of cases, that's things that come either individually packaged and labeled, or it's stuff that comes separate. Here's Mediterranean is really my favorite hack. Like, most people like Mediterranean. It doesn't have like high spice or anything like that. And with that, it's like you've got lettuce, you've got fattoush, you've got chicken, you've got beef, you've got
halal.
A lot of cases you can get halal, hummus, toom. Like you run this whole spread down the table, and then people take what they want. And from dietary restrictions to picky eaters, usually you can find something. In a lot of cases, like Mexican sort of taco bar works really well like that. I think you need to also look at what are sit-down meals. Couple of things that I do there. One, I will usually put what I think to be my nicest meal on the day that people are taking off work if I've got a Friday, Saturday event. Like, if you're taking time off work, I'm going to, like, all I can reward you with is food. I've got nothing else. And so trying to do that for your not so sit-down meals. You're like day one, like your load-in day and your first day dinners. Those are going to be eaten on the fly. Anything that you can hold in your hand. Christina, the EC at Ferndale this year, had a basket. Like, she's like the Easter bunny. It was awesome. Wandering around with a set of like Euro sandwiches, and we were like, yes, thank you.
Now, I have a question in that vein about some food choices at some events.
Okay.
Because I know we focus a lot on the vegetarians and the people who maybe can't eat meat, or it needs to be halal or things like that. How do you address the people who are, how do you say, like,
Fat.
Well, no,
I don't know that we're talking about you, Fong. I think this is a different population that we're talking about.
What about like the anti-herbivores? The people who only eat meat, who can't have, say, a gyro that has cheese or tomato in it.
I think it's really critical that those folks, like anyone with a serious dietary restriction, put that in VIMS and make it so that I can see that. If it simply is the kind of thing that you want to tell me after I've ordered the food, that sucks. Sorry, Ian.
I don't know if it's more of a dietary restriction or more of like a subconscious fear.
Yeah,
per se.
Go either way.
I think it's more so just suck it up and eat the damn food.
It's not food.
Look at okay. Tell me you need a salad. You need a salad, boy.
When you look at a salad, you tell me that's food.
I'm
like, this is my lawn. I just mowed the lawn. This is what I'm eating now.
Yeah, but you pay the food, you eat it, and you suck it up.
What? Okay. Anyway. So food's really good. Good job.
Yeah.
I like food too.
I will say one of the things I'm still trying to get better at, and one of the reasons I will totally preach, please put your dietary restrictions in VIMS, is if you've got a serious dietary restriction, I will do my best to get a hold of you in advance. And it might be we end up like having to order something separate. The biggest thing there is like, your dietary restrictions way better than I do. If you're going to have an anaphylactic reaction to something, like I need to know you're okay with it. I 100% will make sure, bam. I will 100% make sure you have something to eat to the best of my ability. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to need some help. So
is it still called VIMS? Or it's the volunteer portal.
Yeah.
Right? I can't remember that.
I don't know. It's saved as VIMS in my password manager.
Yeah. Changed the name. They cut the mentor network and the volunteer portal. Yeah. That's what I mean, yeah.
Anyways, the food is pretty good.
I say food. Everybody's in their food
I always
coma
love the
now.
food at Troy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
That was one of those things that we did change though at one point. Like we were on an arc of food that wasn't so good, and I got some feedback on that. And then we went and stared deep in our budget, and we're like, oh,
we got room.
I got a little bit of room in here. We're gonna feed a little bit.
All right.
Snacks too, honestly. Like more than just sugar.
Yep.
Like at a certain point, like somebody wants a piece of beef jerky or a bag of pretzels or something. The candy bucket's great, but the candy bucket with variety is even better.
Yeah, muffins.
Yep.
Muffins, yeah.
All right. So I know you had food really important, so we had to skip ahead to that. But I wanted to backtrack a little bit for something else that I think a lot of people would love to hear the story behind. We talked about the fire alarm at States, and apparently I didn't pay the power bills here either. But can we talk about the lights incident at States?
Oh. Yeah, the lights incident.
Which year was that? This year?
That's 23.
23. Yeah.
23.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 years ago at that point.
Yeah.
Check that. Time flies.
I'm old.
The lights incident. Still got no idea what caused it.
What happened? Because I wasn't there. What happened? The lights
at least I think all of the lights in the main arena just like boom down, everything except for sort of like the couple of emergency lights. So as though the motion sensor hadn't been hit or something. There's no motion sensor. We did ask about that.
Okay.
What we think we had a controller in the middle of the arena where like the DJ sits that is used to adjust the lights. There's actually about 30% more lights on like the DTE consumer side than there is on like the Aptiv Hemlock Ford side.
Yeah.
And so part of it was those lights got dimmed down so you had sort of even lighting across all four fields.
Okay.
That's just generally in our ethos of making sure everyone has an equal competition experience. In some ways, if they all stayed constant, it would probably be fine. You calibrate your robot. We let you recalibrate if you're headed to Femstein. Should be all right. But it seemed like it was easy enough to do. We also at one point had dreams of like dimming the lights during opening ceremonies, things of that sort. So there's maybe one of these days.
Yeah.
So there's a controller box in the middle that had a wireless connection up to essentially the overall control system. Our suspicion is something got fritzy there. Mm-hmm. And so like, hear that over the radio, make my way down in a hurry. And everybody is all excited. Like, everybody has ideas. You have all of our smart AV people who are like trying to do things. It's like, okay, hang on. Nobody touch anything for a minute. And it's like, all right, is it a one-off? Yeah, sure looks like it. Stood around for a while. Made it there long enough. Nope, not a one-off. There it goes. So at that point, everybody's excited. The whole room is loud. All the students are excited.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful sight to watch little glowy robots running around.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Absolutely.
we're trying to figure out what's going on because this is sort of an event breaker if not dealt with. I, at this point, am losing my voice. We're talking Thursday, and I am losing my voice. If anyone remembers talking to me that event, by the end of it, there was nothing. I squeaked. And so I'm trying to get loud enough to talk and try and figure this out. And there's all these voices. Ultimately, after it going in and out a couple times, somebody manages to get into my ear enough to be like, you want to talk to Jimmy? And I'm like, Jimmy Mish? Like the FTA Jimmy?
Yeah.
I'm like, what for? And after like a minute, I discover that Jimmy works in like a lighting company, and in particular the lighting company that did the install at SVSU. And so we get Jimmy there. If anybody's met Jimmy's got a cochlear implant. Jimmy's kind of deaf as a post, especially when it's loud as hell in the venue and I have no voice. And we ultimately get to like, we've called SVSU, their lighting guy's coming back, and Jimmy's like, you can just unplug it. And like, this is Jimmy and my first real interaction. I'm like, how sure are you before you just go unplugging stuff? And he's like, really sure. I think it's our system that's in here. I'm like, do it, whatever. And so he unplugs it, and we don't have another incident. At that point, Andy from SVSU has gotten back, and those two, it's like they're going to talk after like the next handful of matches run, and ultimately what they decided they were going to do is Jimmy was going to take his laptop, go into the closet with the hardwired control board, and just program a FIM setting into the expansion slots.
Oh my God.
So now that there's a setting that says like robots or something in the board there. So no more remote control. Like if it all goes sideways, you just go in there and Jimmy's programmed a button. You push it.
That's awesome.
And that's our lighting settings.
Wow.
Did you try turning it on and off again?
It's honestly, I'm sitting there as he's looking to unplug that thing going, okay.
That's funny.
So, is that your wildest story at an event? You got anything else crazy? Because I mentioned you've seen quite a bit at this point.
I've had a couple of good ones at Troy over the years. I was thinking about this because this is the one heads up you gave me and sort of like pre-prep is maybe if you got a wild story. One of them is we did have a fire one year.
Yeah. I mean,
and so it was sort of first thing in the morning on day 2, and everything was rolling, couple matches, and I had finally sat down for the first time to like have a sip of coffee in the volunteer room. I'm sitting there, coffee, half away, trying to pull it together, and I hear we've got the stream up on the projector, and I hear the student that's running like volunteer check-in go, ooh, fire. I go, what? And then I hear the field foghorn from the other room, and I'm gone. I'm running for the gym. I'm going, what is going on? And by the time I get there, there's the like haze of smoke. Somebody's hit it with a fire extinguisher. It's over at that point. I was like, oh my goodness, what happened? Get a little explanation. Grab CSA, robot, head back to the pits, and start to figure that out. And I'm like, that story's sort of done at that point. Except for I'm sitting there a little later, and somebody had screen capped a couple of frames from this, and you sort of see like the head ref opening the gate, the FTA's got the fire extinguisher, and then next thing the FTA is spraying the robot. And I'm like, great. And so somebody posted these in Slack, and I'm like, good job being safe. FTA going through the gate and whatnot. And I'm like, yeah, totally. I get back this like, yep, safety first is a response. So that night, the volunteers went out for dinner afterwards. I'm like, dude, I can't believe you went through the gate and put that robot out. And he's like, oh, I didn't go through the gate. He went right over the wall. But he let everybody believe he went through the gate. No, he stopped that match and went right over the wall. And I'm like, tease.
That's funny. When you started the story off, I was reminded of like, you're literally the this is fine dog. You're just sitting in the break room drinking your coffee, and there's just like a fire happening around
that's
you.
That's exactly what that was. I'm sitting there just
That's
Yep,
awesome.
we're good. We've got all the teams out there. I've got 20 minutes to sit down before I go socialize again. And like, nope, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And the kid's so calm. Ooh, fire.
Like Beavis and Butthead. Fire.
Had one other good wild one at Troy. It was when Troy always had a weird setup for to some extent. The two Hammerheads mentors that started it were the EC and the Field Soup. So the Field Soup was always sort of the like second in command at Troy. So EC was a friend, I was the Field Soup, and we get there, open the venue up, get coffee going, and it's probably 6:40 in the morning, and volunteer wanders in. They're going to be a field resetter. It's before VCs even got there, and it's like, all right, I guess, sure, coffee. We can go out and I'll explain the game to you. And standing in the middle of the field, first of all, if you're a volunteer, not before 7 a.m. If you're volunteer check-in or the FTA, maybe, but unless you're going to help make coffee, just hold off until 7.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
that before 7 hour is my time to decide that I'm going to be, like, personable. And if you're there, you're accelerating my process. Don't do it. Love you all. Not before 7.
Yeah.
So I'm standing in the field, sort of half explaining things. And at that point, rather than hanging, we currently use these Kevlar straps off the I-beams in the ceiling. This is an evolution. We used to hang them from a series of cement anchors in the wall bolted into the gym at Athens. Mm-hmm. I'm standing there and I hear this pop and I look. And the screen is hanging from 2 cement anchors, goes
Oh no.
swinging by one of them, flying down, and I'm just like, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. At that point, we actually ran a 2-screen setup at Troy's. I still have a screen to like do things with, but it is hanging immediately over the robot indoor,
Oh wow.
like point down,
Yeah.
halfway through the door, and so I look at this volunteer who's never been to a first event, and I go, you stay, don't let anyone go through that door. And I take off and run, grab David, who's the EC, and I'm like, screen fell, gotta go get it. A bit about me. I don't do heights. Fong knows this.
I
Fong's
do.
come and taking things down from the ceiling.
Yeah, I do.
This is one of the few times I got up in a scissor lift. And EC knows I don't do heights. And I'm like, all right, we got to go up and get that thing because it is hanging by I don't know what because one of them's already let go.
Yeah.
And he's like, you good? Can you do this? I'm like, I don't think there's a choice at this point. We have to go get this thing. And up we went and got it, brought it down, took it apart. And all of that's good. And once we sort of got it sat down, I hear, because it's probably 7 and change at this point, people are starting to get into the building. I hear, excuse me, sir.
Oh no.
And it's somebody wearing a team shirt. It's an adult. Come here. Can I talk to you for a second? Yeah, sure. I guess it's on the ground. Like, hang on a second. So me and the EC wander over, talk to him. He goes, you shouldn't have done that. You didn't have any PPE on. This is not an OSHA, like, this is a huge OSHA violation. I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. And all right, yeah, sorry about that. It had to come down, man. Like it was far more dangerous for it to hang than for it to come down. Mm-hmm. Well, this is an OSHA thing. I don't understand that. Like, sir, thank you. Appreciate your input. But it did have to come down. It's like, you need to be wearing this and that, like per OSHA regulations. EC looks in and goes, sir, we're volunteers. OSHA doesn't apply to us. This isn't an occupation. And dude,
Yeah.
off he went though.
Oh my god.
And we're just sitting there and I'm like, huh. Well, that was an interesting experience. I expected to get a good job or something like that. Nope, got an OSHA lecture.
Well, you know, you need that PPE, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Should have told him to do it.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I'm pretty sure the insurance covers it at least. It really went sideways.
Oh man.
So yeah, that was probably the wildest one. That was everything else sort of disappears in a second. That one could have been really a problem.
I think a lot of people just forget that we're all just volunteers doing this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we don't get paid. We all don't get paid for this.
Right. We had
So.
same similar experiences when we did Lindsay's episode of just, I don't. people being rude, I guess, and they just don't know our side of the fence. And
Yeah.
yeah, we're all volunteers. We're all trying to do the same thing, right? You know.
Yeah.
Eddie couldn't find a hard hat in that time, right?
I think
I
I
know
was
what
supposed
he
to find
wants.
a harness and a hard hat.
Yeah,
or
right.
something.
Like, okay, sorry, man.
No, you should just let it hang there by whatever thread it's still,
Yeah,
still
right.
on, and then fall and hit someone in the head.
then
That's
it'll be
more,
OSHA
that's more
approved to
safe.
get it.
Yeah. So
Honestly, I do find, because I had an encounter during the Wayne State fire evac where somebody's like, what's going on here? Who do I talk to? This and that. And I'm like, you can talk to me. But when it took explaining, like, listen, there's not a paid person here. Like, oh. And so, like, I've developed a way of sort of, like, explaining over time that it's like, everyone here is a volunteer. Mm-hmm. Everyone here is a volunteer. I am here to help you. But, like, there's no manager for you to talk to.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
unless Gail visits.
Even that, she might redirect you back to the EC. In some
Yeah.
ways. Like, the reality is, though, that most people take that quite well. My custodians every year blows their mind that I take day 2, 3 off work to show up and run an event like this. They're like, what do you get paid for this? Nothing.
Yeah.
Like, and really, that's the ethos, though.
Oh.
It's kind of key to how this all works.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I mean,
Do you take days off work when you do a judge advisor for FLL? Do you still do that or no?
Yeah. That's actually my longest standing role.
Yeah.
My guess is it's probably 10 or 11 years now.
Yeah.
FLL is nice. It's sort of a one-day thing. Like, I might dip out a little early on Friday if it's a Saturday event. My IT director is really, really a champ. I'm like, thank you for your donation of paper and office supplies to the FLL mission. I know StockX doesn't have the money to donate, but thank you for your donation of printer resources, because FLL, unlike FRC, extremely paper driven. Like,
Yeah.
I think
Interesting.
yeah.
so. I've both EC'd in FLL states and I've JA'd in FLL states. I think it's probably 3 reams of paper per event for a 48 team event.
That's crazy.
Have either of you two ever judged?
No, I have not.
I have.
You
He's
have? I have
judged. He's
too.
judged for
Yeah.
me before.
Oh, yeah.
So the funny story is, I believe you texted me or emailed. Somebody did,
Yeah.
right? And then goes, "Hey, we're down like a judge. Can you come on this day to judge?" I got nothing else to that day. Sure. So I come in, and I think the very last volunteer to walk in.
We were definitely calling your phone and not getting an answer. Going, come on, man! I already lost one this morning.
We always get that experience
I'm pulling
here
from
as
my
well,
spare
so.
pool deeply. Fong, you can't do me like that.
Luckily, I showed up. I slapped on the judge shirt.
Yeah.
Walked in the classroom, got her done, and after we got all that done, I took a nap.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I paired you with somebody responsible.
Yeah, you definitely did, because I had no idea what I was doing, but we followed the script and we did the thing. The kids had fun. So
Yeah.
do that, and it was a great time.
Honestly, if anyone's looking for like a first, either post high school or just first volunteer role, judging for FLL is a great role. Judge Ref FLL, we're always looking for them. There's more FLL teams than anyone has any idea of in the state.
Yeah.
Always looking for folks, and it's gotten easier over the years. It used to be really subjective, fairly numerical now, and it's a lot of fun. Those kids are so excited. They're none of the like competitive cynicism of FRC. They're just happy to be there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll give that a giant +1 too, as someone who's judged FLL before. It might just be my favorite volunteer role across all the levels at first, because you just get to show up. You sit down, everything, like you said, it's on rubrics, it's paper. I don't even know what the game is or what the robot's supposed to do or what they were supposed to make a project for. I just sit down, they go, oh, here's the project we made, and here's our robot, and it can do this mission and this mission and this mission. And I'm like, cool, does it use vision? No. Okay, well, you don't get a high score in that category.
Two for that one.
But no, it's always a lot of fun, and it's just nice and chill. And even though, especially Michigan, right, in Michigan, our FLL kids are all grades 3 through 5, I think. They still do, like, with their innovation project especially, amazing things. Sometimes it blows me away with what they're able to accomplish.
Yeah, it really is a lot of fun. It's a nice thing to do for a weekend in the fall if you've got the time. The kids have a blast. The parents are usually excited. Like it's a first entry for them into this whole ecosystem, and I really like it.
Yeah, it's fun time. So anybody out there, you're looking to do it, go ahead and do it. It's great.
In the volunteer portal, not VIMS. Volunteer portal.
Volunteer, you hear that? Volunteer. Yeah.
I found it really interesting in like the first history that FRC came first, and then FLL, and then finally FTC because they need that bridge. I didn't know that at first, actually. But you also do FTC as well.
I have. I haven't done FTC in a couple years. I field soup there before. Very like definitely sort of in the realm of like that EC field soup overlap at times. We definitely have an EC, but especially in Troy, we sort of mix and match different parts of that.
I know a lot of our FRC volunteers also do FTC as well. I see a lot of them, and even just like not even just FRC volunteers, like even FRC mentors, I see them show up as FTA for FTC, field soup ref, head ref, whatever for FTC stuff. So yeah, like you said, there's a lot of overlap there too. So that's really cool.
Yeah, to some extent, that's a thing that I've done less of. I've been trying to find some robot balance over the last couple of years. Like I did 6 events one year, and I think I hard EC'd 3 weeks. I sort of helped co-EC a couple weeks where I was field souping, then I field souped one more. And then I was doing FTC and FLL on top of that, and it is too much.
It's taxing.
Yeah, it's because it's all just like back to back weeks, all in like a whole sprint for like several months on end. Even it amazes me how you did it, because I know like even like on the FRC level, if you do week to week for 6 weeks, holy Jesus, it's tiring, right? So for you to do it for the FLL and FTC at the and FRC. Like how do you handle that? Like what is your thing?
What's in your coffee?
Yeah, what's
the answer is that I don't. Burnout's in my coffee. And some of it is like my partner, she's a robot person. She's like, you need to do less robots. And it's not that like you can't or you shouldn't, but you're tired, you've got no time, you're never home. And it's like she's at robots, she's a mentor, she's going to comps, whatnot. We've started to just sort of line up our comps, and then just to a certain extent, there's off seasons for me. I take a break during the summer. I do rainbow because that's important to me. But that's the only off season I'm probably going to do this summer. I might show up for a teardown, like just go see folks if I've got an afternoon free and go have a lot of fun with that. But I'm probably not gonna like commit to doing 8 jillion events because I think there's also an element of like when we robot people get together and start talking, all we do is talk about robots. You almost need a rule of like, hey, we get together, we need to talk about not robots.
Literally anything else. Yeah.
What's your favorite color?
And really like that showed at one point. Like I was seeing a robot person outside of a robot context. I had music on there. Like I had no idea that was your music taste, but no exposure to me other than like within the 4 walls of a venue.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think it's important too, even for the pit crew out there, that right, whether you be a student, you're a mentor, parent, I think it's important to know when to slow down and to know when to take a breath, because it is very taxing, but also addictive to go through this sprint and go through this marathon of just competition, volunteering, helping out, everything, all the above, and you burn yourself way too much. It is very important, even mentally too. It's important to just like do what you want to do, take a breath, take some time off, and when you're at full strength and you're in full energy, then come back so that way you can be more efficient at what you want to do in the program. So please, for everyone's sake, take a breath, slow down,
Take a breath.
touch some grass.
Set boundaries. And don't be afraid to say no unless I'm asking. Then you should come to my event.
And I'm going to say this. Don't just go and touch grass once you've already collapsed from the 6, 8, 12, 15, 20 week adrenaline rush. Like, set your parameters proactively. Because in some ways, if it's like, oh, I'm going to go take a break once I've already collapsed, well, then you're just going to go back at it the minute that you've uncollapsed. It's actually a thing that you have to do when you're in a better like not burnt out space. It's key to have it not once you've already hit your limit, but long before that. Because it also lets you like have something to give. I think like in a real candid sense, I had a realization about a year ago that I was not the best EC that I could be. I was burnt out. I was tired. And like my not best was good enough. I put on good events, get the high five and the handshake at the end. Nice event. Great. But I wasn't having as much fun. No. And if you were just starting to volunteer with me for the first time, it probably wasn't as good of an experience as it could be. And so cutting back let me offer something better. And this year I felt much better for that change. So to some extent, that cutting back, maybe you've got more quality that you're putting out as opposed to quantity.
Right. Right. And that's an important thing is if as long as the quality is there, that everyone's having a great experience, nothing beats it, honestly, really. Yeah. But to shift a little bit, the Troy Robotics Foundation, you are a board member, and you work alongside the school district, and you work with nonprofits, and build this functional model and stuff. Can you just explain real quick, what is that Troy Foundation?
Yeah, so that's sort of the interesting bit for me is like classically I would tell you that I'm part of Team Volunteer. I think technically in the first systems I am rostered with Team 226, the Hammerheads, and Team 8728, the Argonauts. What my commitment to them is that I help run their events and I help with our nonprofit, the Troy Robotics Foundation. And we really brought that into existence because what we found was that our school district's super supportive. They've let us run an event there for 16 years now. I guess 15 if you hack COVID off of there. But they've let us run an event there for years. They've let us run FLL, FTC, and the board comes and talks, the city council comes and talks, the superintendent and the principals come and talk at our events and are engaged and supportive. But they're not the most equipped folks to understand what the robot teams need, what the robot teams are asking for, especially as we add, I think we've got well north of a dozen FTC teams, north of a couple dozen FLL teams. There's the MDE grant to disperse. And so what the nonprofit lets us do is have a tax-exempt entity, which means people have a far easier time writing donations to it, that is separate of the school district. It's not hooked up with the school district's account payable or accounts receivable process. They don't have to track the monies. They don't have to look at a receipt and be like, what the heck is a Kraken? It lets us do that. And part of that works because we've had a functional program within Troy for a long time. We've built a relationship with the district, and they're starting to ask us to take on more things. They're like, can you handle the administration of the MDE grant, or can you handle this or that? And really trying to empower the foundation. In terms of sort of like the foundation's work, we're continuing to sort of try and figure out what that is. Does it look like we have revenue outside of the teams? Are we building something for the whole city? Whatnot? A lot of that is stuff that we're still talking through, but it's been an interesting journey being part of that, especially just because it's let us do things that schools are not traditionally good at. Schools are good at like, hey, I've got a building. Hey, I can get insurance for the trailer. Hey, I can do all of that. Do they want to know and have to like allocate half a person to managing like robot finances? Not so much, but we already have a dedicated group of mentors and board members who can help with those kind of things. And so it's been nice to let us sort of level up the great support we already have from our district with something that is district adjacent, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
That sounds great stuff.
Great stuff. That's the boring stuff. Now we're talking about the finances and all that stuff.
No, I think
it really doesn't have any excitement yet.
I think I look at Troy and I see one of the cities and school districts that really support FIRST and FRC and all the other robotics teams.
Yeah, top to bottom buy-in.
In Metro Detroit.
The amount of support that for robotics for a city like that is literally unparalleled.
Yeah, there's, and it's nice to see. It's nice to see there are a collection of cities that are working on it. The other thing I will say is different models work for different cities. That's one of the things that I've been really finding is we listen to and talk to more people. A lot of people are curious about what we've done, but I do say that it works in our context because of what what we already had established. But yeah, it's. I mean, if me as a product of the Troy school system, 25 years since started FLL. That's a long commitment for a district to First Robotics. So,
wow,
sweet,
awesome,
unbelievable, unbelievable.
You got anything else?
I just farted, but
nice.
Whoa. Hold on.
Assassination attempt.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you, Eddie, for joining us and somehow agreeing to be in our little shindig. You're fat. Thank you for us for joining.
Okay,
Fat power.
Remember to like and subscribe. Check out our last video on hot takes and when we talk about extending the FRC season to year round. I'm sure you'd love that one.
I say, as we just finished talking about burnout, not to do that.
Follow us on Instagram. Get our merch on shop.pitpodcast.com, powered by Royal Shirtery. And I'm not going to read that one. Thank you, Pit Crew. Catching that one. In the next one, we'll see you at the competition.
Boom!
Yeah, boom!
Boom! Boom! Stop it!